These video games.
Video games, maybe it's good for kids. We don't know of these video games.
Welcome to the Snooty Ghost Podcast.
This is where we begin our haunting.
Snooty, snooties.
You know what's liable to happen if we see a ghost tonight?
Mushrooms, banana peels, turtle shells.
Same great game.
Two-player fun on the split screen.
Never in the history of video games.
Welcome back, everyone. We're back, episode 3, Snooty and the Ghosts. I'm joined by my man, Snooty Skavooby.
Hey!
Yeah, and I'm Binary Ghost. So we're back, episode 3, as promised.
Yep, I was just going to say, as promised.
As promised.
We're still doing it. 2 podcasts is pretty exciting. I'm obviously still into it.
Good.
Even if you guys aren't, but...
So Snooty's still into it, folks. That's good. That's a good start. We got a couple top 5s for you today. We got some other news going on. Snooty's got some...
couple talking points.
A few talking points, so let's get into it right away. Boom! Into it. Boom!
Alright, so I'll start with... I picked up this game, XCOM 2, on Xbox. It was 60% off. The game's actually, it's like a full-priced $90 game, so I picked it up for like $25 or $30 or something. It's a pretty good discount. And
yep, that's it.
I didn't really know what it was going into it.
So frugal.
Frugal with my money? Yeah, well, do it for you guys.
Yeah.
So I have things to talk about.
Yeah, so XCOM. I saw a little bit of this game. It looks like you described it to me before I saw it as kind of like a turn-based chess sort of situation, and I watched the video, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I didn't know much about like the franchise because this is the second game under the XCOM. I think they had like expansions for the older games as well, so they've been around for a little while. But I watched like some trailers on it. It kind of sold me right off the bat because I like those strategic kind of games.
Yeah, it's not chess, by the way. It's nothing like chess, like in terms of the board game. I didn't want to like leave everybody with the wrong impression when I said that. It's kind of like
it's chess in the sense where you have
certain amount. They have no idea what it is. Our listeners have no idea what it is.
I'm going to explain it to them.
Okay,
so
Snooty's going to explain it.
Basically, you have set soldiers that you put into battle, and you start on 2 sides of a map. The maps are all procedurally generated, so every time you play through them, it's different, right?
Oh, okay.
So you'll have different missions, but basically you're starting with your 4 or 5 soldiers, and you have to like make your way across the map to the enemy, and it's turn-based. So each turn, each of your players or your soldiers has 2 actions.
Yeah.
So you can move the players.
So you can like move and shoot, or you can move 2 squares or 2 areas.
Exactly.
Or move 1 and do something else. And
exactly. And once you use all your actions for your side, then the enemy has their actions for each of their guys.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to like strategically plan out your attack, like your attack, defense, and everything, right?
Yeah, it seems like a fun game. I like the mix. That's interesting.
So the storyline is like really, it's like a futuristic. You're fighting aliens and stuff. It reminded me a lot of like the Half-Life storyline, kind of, or like the aliens are controlling like
aliens
the world.
Are gonna hate us when they come here. We have so much like
all these
stuff,
games.
Like, we're always fighting. Like, what's all this art? You guys are always fighting and killing us in your movies, and we're always.
They're all a bunch of racists.
You're a bunch of speciesists.
Yeah.
Planetists. I don't know.
So that's like the general idea.
Wait, we're the aliens to them, though.
Yeah, but we're assuming that they're here attacking us, so, you know.
Came all the way over here just to punch us in the face.
Right, exactly. Because, I don't know, even if they were coming here to, like, give us some aid, like, here's some food, guys, we'd probably still shoot them with this guy anyway. Like, ah!
We don't want your alien food. Get out of here. Forget it.
So that's, like, the main concept of the game, but the thing that actually stood out to me was the detail of your soldiers and stuff. So, basically, you get these soldiers, and as they fight, they rank up and you unlock new abilities and everything for each of your guys, right? But if they die in battle, that's it. It's like permadeath. So those soldiers are dead, and you have to like train new ones. So it actually like adds a level of like, it hurts more when like you had the soldier that you beat a few rounds with, and then they die. So it's something to help you, or to keep you motivated not to die and play more strategically.
It gives you a sense of value for, you just don't want to lose a person.
Yeah.
Or lose a soldier.
And the actual combat, because it is like chess where you set up where you're going to attack from and everything, if you've ever played Fallout, which I know that you have, you know how when you aim at people, it gives you a percentage chance to hit.
If you do the auto aim,
So it's just like that.
I don't know if it's called auto aim. It's called I can't remember the name. There is a specific name.
So,
VATS. The VATS system.
Yeah, depending where you are in this game, gives you percentage to hit the other person. So you have to set up in like certain.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I know the style. I know the format.
Yeah, so that's basically what it is. And I think I haven't really played a lot of Fallout, but I know the VAT system a little bit, and that's what it reminded me of. I thought it was really cool that if I set up my sniper here, I might have a better chance to shoot, or I could decide to move him a little closer at a better angle, and then maybe get.
I haven't got over. I'm thinking this. Like, how come you haven't played a lot of Fallout?
I have Fallout 3 on my 360.
Whoa!
I played a little bit. I played it a little bit.
Whoa! Fallout. Okay.
So I'm not really into RPGs. I'd like rather just get in there and start shooting people. That's why I like fast-paced shooters
Fallout
and
4
stuff.
has lots of battles and combat. It's not like.
But that's why I never
RPGs.
got really into it, because I do like some RPGs, but I'm not. I'm more just rather jump in a server and play some like Rainbow Six or something really
Or
cool.
that robotics factory in Fallout 4. There's a lot of shit to fight there. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, I did get distracted, but yeah.
That's okay. That's all basically I want to say about XCOM 2. Me and my buddy Inhale both picked it up, and there's multiplayer. So once we beat the campaign, we're gonna face each other and see.
Is that the famous Inhale Souls who's came up on our last podcast too? Wow, he's been in 2 podcasts. He's almost like he's like a ghost guest.
Whoa, but you're Ghost.
Yeah. Well, if he came, he'd be a he'd still be a ghost guest because he'd be my
guest of Whoa. Yeah. You would be a guest. Does that mean I'm a ghost guest?
I don't know. I don't know how puns translate to real life anymore.
Basically, it's an interesting game. I'd recommend playing a demo or something
Snooty
of it.
would recommend it. Yeah, it looks fun. Looks all right. Looks like something to do. If you like that style of game, it'll be a good time. Looks like it's well polished, so that's good. In other news, PUBG news.
Yes.
PUBG news. There's a new map out, playable test server.
Called Miramar.
Yeah, it's called Miramar, and looks like it's in like Mexico or something, or like all the names seem to be Spanish, all the cities.
Yeah, it's a deserty kind of map.
Desert landscape. All the buildings are super colorful. They got different vehicles, a few different guns in there.
Yeah, I was really excited when we hopped into that game and saw some different guns laying around. We got pretty excited.
Yeah, I got pretty excited too. There's a lot of different things to look at and play, so that was a lot of fun.
It looks like they put a lot of detail in that map. Even the buildings have billboards and stuff on them. They all look really colorful. It looks like they put a decent amount of work into it, and they didn't just kind of throw us like a random. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It looks like they put a lot of work into it, which is good from a company that is still like developing on the console.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I think it did look good. I think it looked polished. It was more polished than I thought it was going to be. I mean, it was more polished in a way than... I remember it. It looks more polished than the PUBG that I downloaded when I first downloaded the preview, which was a little bit... Like, the graphics now compared to then, I feel are a little bit better, and I felt like this game here, this playable test server, was on par with this, like, level of graphics. It wasn't like the original PUBG I played 6 months ago or 4 months ago whenever I downloaded it.
Yeah, they're definitely
there's been like
improving.
marginal improvements of it, right? So
I agree.
But yeah, lots of fun. Had a lot of fun playing that game, playing with squad and stuff. So hopefully we can get on and play a little bit more later on. But yeah, lots of fun.
And they're releasing a new map right now on the test servers on PC for one that takes place in like the Philippines. So we know that we have that to look forward to as well, even further in the future coming to console, which is cool.
Ooh, you know what you just reminded me of?
What?
Battlefield 3 rumors in Vietnam, you said earlier.
Battlefield
4.
5.
5. What did I say? Battlefield 3 4. I guess because we were looking up Battlefield 3.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
Battlefield 5, which is actually the 6th game, because Battlefield 1 was technically the 5th game.
Yeah. So Battlefield 6?
The next Battlefield game, it's rumored that...
I've heard called Battlefield 5, right?
Yes.
5.
Is rumored... They were saying that it was going to be a World War II one, and then after that, they were like, no, that's not going to happen. And now the rumors are saying it might be a Vietnam War, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, if you can get past the whole political part of it.
So the date is May 23rd. DICE has released saying that they're going to have a big announcement for the next Battlefield game. So that's the date that we got to look forward to. And
I don't know
find
if
out.
I'd like a Vietnam game because I don't like, the whole Vietnam situation was just people like fighting invaders, right?
Yeah, the war itself was obviously
Yeah, it
pointless.
wasn't
Like most
It
wars,
was a proxy
though.
war, right, between Russia and the United States.
Yeah.
Communism and capitalism.
But any like modern game would probably proxy wars anyway.
Yeah, like that's why I never liked playing any games that focused on like Iraq or wars. And
Yeah.
I just feel like you're fighting poor people that are defending their country, right? I'm not trying to be political about it, but it's a lot easier to hate the Nazis, right? Because they've
Yeah.
been vilified, right? It's a lot
Yeah.
easier to be in World War II and shoot people. I say like, why not just go with a fictional thing? But if you make it fictional, don't make it like it's some drug lord or some crazy name guy who's running everything. Make it like a legit paramilitary you're going up against, or make up a country.
Do you recall what the storyline of Battlefield 3 or 4 was? I never played the campaigns in those games. I was all about the multiplayer.
No. Yeah, I played all the campaigns. I don't remember the storyline. It's just pretty typical sort of, rescue your buddy.
But do you remember who the villains were? Who we were fighting?
Oh, no. I don't. They're all dead, though. So.
True.
I killed
Because I know in Battlefield 4 you go into like...
I didn't ask their names when I took them.
There's like the Pacific that you're fighting in and stuff as well.
Stepped over their corpses. Kept on.
But I'm really excited to see where the new Battlefield game's going to go. I was playing Battlefield 1
Well, I hope it's great.
recently.
I hope it's modern. Like we were talking about this earlier. I wanted to take place mid to late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there where they hadn't really adopted total tech yet. It was still basically a lot of analog the way they did it, right? It was still like they probably had some high tech stuff back in the 80s, but it's not
Yeah.
like today where they're like bombing families with drones from like Arizona, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it's a lot
So
more interesting.
Vietnam War would be a good setting technology-wise for the guns and stuff that you're using.
It'd be an okay era. I mean, you're talking like late 60s, mid 70s, right? I want to go a little, like 10 years past that.
Oh, yeah, true.
I mean, we already know the weapons that are going to be in there, right? It's going to be M16s, and like I understand the weapon set. I'd like to see a little bit further on. Like it doesn't need to be we don't need to be based on real conflicts. It doesn't need to like,
Yeah.
like World War II, yeah, but you don't need to take the realism of the situation of World War II and apply that arc to other games. You could have like a fictitious, like maybe in this land, Soviet Union breaks up and it becomes part of Britain and it's like this new country you're fighting. Like it can be, the storyline isn't that important. It's like, in a way, I
And
guess.
if they're following, the storyline of Battlefield 3, then 4, and then we're skipping 1 to make Battlefield 5, you think it would be right after that, year-wise, like timeline-wise.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they would go back to Vietnam or something.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure what they're going to do with all this. I think it'd be cool to have it. Just made me think of this idea. I don't know if somebody else said this or if I said it, but if you have a game like Vietnam, and you're going to base it off not really caring how people feel about political situations, it'd be cool to have a game where native people fight off the white man coming to North America,
Yeah. I was
it'd be like something that would never happen, but,
There's an Assassin's Creed game, number 3, I believe, where you're like the American fighting off the British. It'd be cool if you're the native guy just fighting everybody.
Yeah, true. But that doesn't have a happy ending.
No,
necessarily.
it does not, unfortunately.
No. But anyways, yeah, so that's all interesting. I'm looking forward to what's going to come out in the next little while. Saying a lot again. Dang it! I'm going to edit this out later.
The next thing I want to mention was there's a new map coming out for Rainbow Six Siege, which is really cool looking. It's basically a villa in Italy, sorry. It's like basically like a big hunting lodge. It's like a huge mansion, and it's going to be they're saying it's going to be their most competitive map yet, and it's for specifically for like ranked, and looks really good. There's like a lot of crazy
What makes it more
entrances.
competitive?
I think a lot of the ones that they take out of the competitive rank are unbalanced as far to
Like one side
attackers
to the
versus
left.
defenders.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they want
That's
a
a
more
good shot.
balanced map. So it's like not more.
I get it. So some maps, I mean, when you're defending, you're going to have it, it's going to be just because of where you can spawn, it's going to be easier or harder to defend. Yeah.
Exactly,
So-
yeah. So this one they're saying is the most competitive map yet. It looks really cool. Check it out. I'll post it on our social media. I've shared it on Twitter, but It's called Operation Parabellum is the new season.
Ooh, cool name.
And it's coming out, I believe, rumors say the 19th or 20th of this month, because that's when the Rainbow Six Finals, American Finals, I believe, are happening, and they're going to, like, launch it then as a
Are they going to
big
play
thing.
on that map?
I don't know.
It'd be interesting to see people play on maps, like professional players.
Probably not
play
on the finals, because this is...
No, but that's what I'm saying, though. It'd be interesting to see professionals play. Like, you take everybody who got professional, right? And you build all these new maps that no one's played before. So you take all the teams that, like, you play, you get to the tournament by playing all the maps you know, and then the new tournament all takes place in a fucking... Oh, sorry.
a brand new map?
Yeah, I'm cussing. In a brand new map, like, every game. So, like, there's no real advantage there. You're not going to, like, know the spots
Going in
better.
blind, yeah, that'd be interesting.
It would be interesting. Pardon my F-bombs, but I guess...
So that's why we have this podcast.
Yeah, fuck yeah! Forgot about that shit.
Yeah, so that's a good idea. We should
Yeah.
see if... I don't know how we would get... you would have to go to different organizations, because there's so many esports organizations now. Maybe one of them could do it for one of their games.
Reminds me of thinking... I had this other thought. And it reminds me of the game... It's the whole concept when I thought... We had another episode on the IGU podcast where we talked about it'd be cool if they made a video game, a shooter, where you start off when you're a noob with all the best weapons, but as you rank up, you end up with like just a pistol and like a rifle. Like it's like a point of pride to have the shittier thing because you're that good.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, and what would happen if you took, do you know, like really good schools, they have all the best teachers, right?
Yeah.
And imagine you took all the best teachers and you put them in all the, like, where all the crappy teachers are, and you put all the crappy teachers where the good, like, students are. And the good students would be like, we don't even barely need a teacher. This guy, he just comes here and, like, watches porn all day. We do everything ourselves. Like, that's how smart
How
we
does
are.
that guy have a job?
Yeah. And then the good teacher would be like, oh, man, you know, like, it would be challenged by poor students, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it'd be kind of backwards. in a
Whoa,
way,
it could be a
but-
TV show. Teacher swap.
teacher swap. But then you think, then I was thinking, why don't we do that? It's like spreading, it's like if you had...
Spread the knowledge
Well,
around.
hold on, let me finish my analogy. It's like if you had a garden bed of flowers, right? And you have all these tall flowers. We always want to like put the water, and like in this philosophy, we're always just putting water on the good flowers, right? On the good seeds that already are good. They don't really even need a good teacher because they're already good, but we're just giving them extra. And we're not giving the people who are really need it the most, right? So then I thought, why? Like, why do we do that? Well, wouldn't it be better to like give more water and attention to the other flowers? But then you think, well, none of the tall flowers would get as high or reach as high because
It's true.
One way we're like aiming for mediocrity, right? And
By spreading it around?
well, yeah, absolutely. Instead
Yeah.
of like getting these group of people the best as possible and taking away from them, like our Albert Einsteins or people who go really far, we just make everybody make 50 grand a year and be like basic Bachelor of Sciences people, right? And it's almost like that's worse because then we value the spikes in our people, right? We don't value everybody being equal. We value the spikes in intelligence and
But-
innovation. But do you understand what I'm saying?
I
though?
do. But
So-
wouldn't you say that if you had everyone had an equal education and they were smart, it's not like you got bad education, but you had like Bachelor of Science,
Yeah.
whatever. If everyone had that, wouldn't that be better than a few people being like super geniuses? Because everyone would be able to like kind of help progress.
Sort of, yeah. Like that's what you think, and that's what I thought initially also. But unless you're gonna like give everybody the maximum, unless you can give everybody the maximum resource, some areas are gonna have more money and more resources to take kids on more field trips and hire better teachers. So unless like you give everybody a max budget, it's almost like you have to take away some of the max budget to make everybody have a medium budget. So it's one thing if you can give everybody the max budget, but if there's like a discrepancy in the budgets, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but if you have to take away from the good to give everybody else some, instead of making everybody as good as the good,
Yeah.
then you're not doing anything. It's mediocrity.
But what about this? So you have really rich kids going to Ivy League schools, even though they might not be geniuses, but they get the education to go that much further. When, say, there's a kid living in poverty who is a genius, but if he had a little bit of money, he could go way further with that little bit of money instead of having no education at all.
Yeah, sure.
So wouldn't it be better to have it the first way where everyone gets a little bit of education because those kids can go
No,
further.
because they're not gonna. But there's not gonna be the opportunity to go as far.
But if they're
That's what I'm
saying. If that's smart,
If
then
you
they could take it that
okay,
much
so
more.
like if you don't have higher learning places where
Mm-hmm.
you can climb the ladder up to the highest academics, like around the smartest
then no one will
people,
get there.
that won't exist because there'll be those will be spread out. Like it won't be a place where it's centralized for the people who want the best learning or actually super. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you can't. We don't have 500 Albert Einsteins or 500 professors at that level. There's only a few, and because of that, you don't get a Leonardo da Vinci like in every other block. There's only one of those, and if that guy's are you with me?
Yeah.
You don't get one of those every 500 years. And so if you have that one university with all those smart people in it, the best, like the cream of the crop, that's, you know what I mean? You can't spread that all out. And that's what, I guess that's what I'm saying. There's always going to be a richer bed of dirt and soil for people. And I agree with what you're saying, give everybody a little bit, but that's what they're getting now.
Yeah,
Like,
well, you could just take out the military budget and put it on the schools, and then you could, like, bring both sides up, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, no, it's totally different. But I almost was like real sort of, everybody should have an equal bit of reign and we should help the people that are like stuck in these other situations. And we should to a certain extent, but then you got to think like we're not supporting mediocrity. That would kill us as a species. The only reason we survived is because we had these spikes in intelligence that were able to innovate for all of us. Because we adapt what they do right away. So having a bunch of mediocrity isn't really helpful. We need people that can think smarter than us so we can adapt their ideas, people who are forward thinking. If we don't have those higher places and those people, we're just kind of all like, oh, I don't know, I guess we'll just do the same thing the same way forever.
Yeah.
We need these people who are like rebelling and thinking their own way. And I think that you get those in all different places, not just higher learning. But I also think that some of the physics, some of the sciences, some of those places where we're the best teachers and the brightest minds and the people who, that's important to have. And unfortunately, you can't spread that everywhere. Now, you say, what about the genius in the poor area who wants to learn and wants to go that way? There are ways for them to get there, but albeit, if that same seed was born in the nice part of town, in the nice part of the where they had access to that budget, he would grow way higher. But the problem is that unfortunately you can't make everybody have the same seed, right? Unless you like only restrict people to like have planting in a certain area, right? Because people are going to plant wherever. You're going to live wherever, right? But you just like saying, okay, well, you can't have kids if you don't live near a university that's going to be able to offer you the best of this. You know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm beating a dead horse here. It's just such a complicated thing, right? It's like a weird thing. And
Yeah, you can almost say that, you can't have kids unless you make a certain income.
yeah, it just gets weird,
Yeah.
right? When you start saying restricting, who can have kids and where they can have kids and what type of education they should or shouldn't have. And I mean, it just becomes weird.
Because you could say, like, a human right to education. So all these kids being born without education, we're taking away their human rights right off the bat. Could go real dystopian way with
everything's
this.
really weird.
Yeah.
So anyways, back to video games. And for those of you who didn't turn off the podcast, I congratulate you for your patience. Or anybody who's wake up. It's we're done talking about it.
Yeah. We'll wake him up with the top 5.
Ooh.
This is the Snooty Ghost Top 5.
All right. So we got two top 5s, and they're actually top 5s this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should lead into the first one. We actually had a response.
Yes, we had a response. One of our, I almost said one of our customers.
One of our listeners.
One of our cussies. Yeah, one of our listeners sent us a request to do a top 5, and we are going to do that right now. And the top 5 is this week, top 5 reasons the SOCOM sequel isn't being made. So, SOCOM 4 was released in 2011.
Yeah, and that's SOCOM Navy SEALs is the full name of the games?
Yeah, I believe so. And there's been nothing since. So let's get into the top 5 reasons for that.
Number 5.
The studio was closed down by Sony, and this was due to, resource relocation?
Resource realignment. I believe it was. And you would think that would be the number 1 reason why it's not getting made, but it's kind of a bunch of other things led to that. So we put it at number 5 for a reason. So number 5 reason why hasn't been a sequel is because the studio closed down. So let's get into as the list unfolds, we'll figure out why.
Number 4.
Well, competition. So in 2011, when the last SOCOM came out, Battlefield 3 and Modern Warfare 3 both came out.
Two huge shooters.
Yeah, Battlefield 3 sold 10 million copies the first year. Modern Warfare 3 sold 6.5 million the first day in 24 hours.
It's a lot of competition.
That's a lot of competition.
And like just pressure in general, I think, from like Sony.
And marketing and drawing other people away. Now, albeit Modern Warfare didn't release until later. SOCOM released in April of 2011. Modern Warfare 3 didn't release until November of that year. So it wasn't exactly the same year, but it was enough to draw away people who'd be buying SOCOM.
100%.
And, the community was definitely dwindled down and split up. So
Number 3.
The last game didn't sell very well. SOCOM Navy SEALs 4 had a mediocre response, and that's obviously because of things like Battlefield 3 and Modern Warfare 3 bringing their fan base of shooters into those markets.
So that's the number. That's the number 3 reason, and I think that's a pretty good mid-tier reason. That just the last game didn't sell so well.
Number 2.
It's very niche game, I would say. It's
Very niche.
A tactical, realistic army shooter, you could call it. And there's a lot of not everyone wants to be really focused on the realism of games like that. That's why Call of Duty does really well, because it's sort of more simple. And I think that's why they have a more broad gamer fan base. Would you agree?
Yeah, the game is very niche. It has a small market. It's very competitive. It's not the learning curve to this game is very long. It takes a little bit to get good at the game. It's not as easy to come in and get kills right away. It takes a little bit of respect and time. You got to go a little bit slower. So those things are all sort of put it in a very specific category.
Number 1.
Not enough community. That's the number one reason why this game hasn't been made. So we saw some things up there. We're looking around at their social media. We found a group that wants SOCOM to be remastered for PlayStation 4, and it's similar to how Xbox does backwards compatibility. The group had 12,000 members, but they're not making enough noise.
Yeah, we looked on the Facebook page of the last SOCOM game, and there wasn't. If it was if they had a big community, you'd probably still see people, like, if it was, say it was like Gra 2, you'd still see people on there talking about it, right? But this one, the last post was back when the studio died, just someone saying rest in peace.
Yeah, so that's something else about SOCOM that we found out here. So the studio that made it, Zipperhead, I believe it was called, they closed down in 2014? 2012. And when they did so, the game actually went offline too, I believe, at that time. So people were still playing it online. SOCOM, one of our listeners, Kamikaze, the person who requested this list, they were big fans of that. He was a big fan of that game, and they just took it right offline. It's not like Ghost Recon where you could still play it to this day.
Yeah.
To this day.
It
might be. I don't know if that was a Freudian slip or not. You play it to this day. They took it right off the server, so you can't even play that game online. But yeah, so the studio did close down. That's number 5. It is also number 1, but it really came down to lack of sales, competition, and the number 1 reason being not enough community. The community wasn't big enough that liked it. It was too niche.
And yeah, if that's why community would be number 1, because if all those other things happened, but they still had a huge community, there'd be a lot more chance of it being revived.
Yeah.
Because they'd have those petitions, Kickstarter,
yeah, so
or whatever.
even if the place closed, even if the studio who originally made it closed, like if for, let's say, whoever owned the studio that made Halo, let's say Bungie, that's
exactly.
example.
I was going to say, next point I had here was that a lot of games can be successfully revived by other studios because Bungie ended up selling the Halo franchise to 343, and they've managed to keep a huge community in that game, even though a lot of people argue the gameplay is not the same.
It's definitely a parallel. It's not exactly the same because they did sell it, but it is proof that another studio can pick up where someone else left off.
Exactly.
I would like it if there was a better example, it would probably be some hypothetical game that, for whatever reason, maybe the CEO was on drugs and the company went out of business and some other company just had to pick it up because they recognized the fan base. It was easy with Halo because it's the biggest game ever. But
another one that I had was the game Life is Strange, which is like kind of a cult classic game. It's where you're, I don't know, it's like a choose your own adventure type game. If you ever played like the Telltale series.
I was actually just playing this game the other day. I just put it on the other game. You're like this 14-year-old girl in high school.
Oh, you bought Life is Strange, the first one? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it was free.
Max.
I just downloaded it.
What? Oh yeah, that's right. Because it comes in chapters. It comes in episodes. Sorry, the first episode is free, and then you buy the rest for like $5 each. I would recommend buying it. I have Life is Strange and Life is Strange 2 Before the Storm. They're both amazing games. They're made by Square Enix, who made
I
Final
recognize
Fantasy.
them. Yeah, I recognize it. And they made a lot of good games.
Yeah, so it's amazing storytelling in those games. I was going to say Life is Strange 2 was dropped by Don't Nod Studios so they could focus on other projects, but then Deck 9 picked it up, and they've done amazing things where they kept really true to the feel of the original. And if you start playing that game, tell me what you think, because I really like those games.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get into it. It was a little slow, and I felt like just getting into something slow as I was doing something else, so it was all right. Okay, let's get into another top 5.
Yeah, let's do it. So this is top 5 foods that people are sharing with their controller.
Ooh, I've got a few, I think, that are on my own. This list wasn't that hard to make, to be honest with you. It should be harder to make, but it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, I just licked Ghost controller and I could taste each of the foods.
Ooh!
That's how we made the list.
You might want to go to a doctor. You're probably going to die. No, you're going to die for sure, though, one day, just so you know. We're all
What?
gonna die. I don't know.
Not just because I licked your controller?
No, that's what I meant, though. Don't worry. You'll die anyways.
Okay,
Regardless.
well then,
You just may die.
then I don't care.
You just may die without a tongue. It might boil over. Boil over? Boil up. I don't know.
Boils.
Yeah, boils. That's what I'm saying. You might get boils on your tongue.
That's gross.
It's gross.
Number 5.
Coffee or beer, and beer.
Or beer.
Coffee or beer. I think that's a solid place to come in. I think we all got one of those on our controller.
Yeah.
Why don't you spill a little water on there, guys, and clean it up. Clean up your controllers.
Yes. But that's just more liquids on it. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but it's water. It's gonna clean it. It's gonna clean it.
Number 4.
Condiments. So that's your
Yeah.
mustard. That's your ketchup. That's your relish. That's
That's your mayonnaise.
That's your hot sauce. That's your hummus.
Yeah, and hummus. People playing their...
Playing all your FIFA out there. Getting hummus on your controllers. I know where you're at. I see you out there.
Number 3.
Pizza grease.
Ooh.
This is a big one.
Yes. It's a big one for ghosts, for me.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of pizza. I'm gonna eat more pizza later.
Me too.
Yeah. But yeah, pizza grease on the controllers. These are all foods that you're trying to eat while you're playing a game. You try to snack it or eat while you're playing.
I feel like
you
pizza
can
grease
wipe it off while you're
It's
before
a
you.
tricky one because it's like you don't see it. It's like not.
It's
really...
not as obvious as some of the other ones on the
Exactly.
list.
It's like a
definitely not.
sneaky one.
It's a little one. It's you look and you're like, oh, that's all right. You give a little wipe on a napkin or something, and you don't really wipe. You get enough, and sure enough, you pick up the controller the next day. This is what you find. It's it's gross. So I don't know. I was gonna find another analogy, something to do with something else, but forget it. We're abandoning it.
Number 2.
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
It's like-
Yeah.
Probably the honey garlic chicken wings or the hot sauce.
Any chicken wings.
Well, the dry one's not as bad.
You still get,
You know,
yeah,
wet.
they're pretty bad. It's all grease. You get it on your hands. You're not,
Yeah.
okay, so the dry ones, you're getting grease on your hands, like chicken grease,
The white one's
But
is
you're-
sauce.
but you're getting sauce and chicken grease with the wet ones.
Yes,
So,
which is worse.
I think barbecue's got to be probably the worst because it's so sticky.
It's probably the most common too. Barbecue.
Barbecue.
I would say barbecue's a pretty common chicken wing flavor.
So go ahead and lick your controllers at home. If you don't want to do that, go ahead and mail it into us. Snooty will lick your controller and write off a list of what he tastes on there.
Number 1.
Cheetos,
Yeah.
orange controllers, chips, all the flavors, all over your controller. You try to play video games while you're munching on chips. You think you wipe your hands off good enough on your jeans, you dirty bastards. But guess what? You didn't, and now your controller is gonna be orange.
Oh man. Or white from your smart food. That's a really. You always get the popcorn
Yeah, because you're
smart
smart
food dust.
You're like it's like you and old people's aunts that eat smart food.
What?
I like smart food. I just remember my aunt.
Is it not that popular? I
I
really
don't
like
think
that
it is.
stuff.
Maybe it is.
Dude, it's in every store. People gotta be eating it.
It's true. I was gonna say if you're in Canada, then ketchup chips because apparently it's only popular here.
Is there ketchup smart food?
I don't know.
There
should
is
be.
ketchup popcorn.
Yeah, there is.
Which is good.
I had ketchup Doritos. Those ketchup Doritos they had out for a while. Those
Oh,
were
yeah.
amazing.
Wonder if they have ketchup Doritos in the States.
Probably not. They don't have ketchup chips there.
Like
man.
in general.
They don't like ketchup chips there. They don't have them there.
When I was in Peru and Ecuador, they had mayonnaise flavored Lay's and they were really good.
That's probably some UK shit, man. They like some like lime and pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're all right. Get out of here, Snooty. It's gross.
I like
it's gross. Yeah, you don't. You can't. Just forget it. Forget it. Chips should not be that. Crisps.
Crisps.
Can I have some crisps? Can I get some lime and lemon curry crisps, please?
Oh, it sounds good.
What, my accent? Yeah, you sounded great, actually. Thanks, Snooty. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I'm an actor at heart.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll talk like this for the rest of the episode.
Please don't.
All right. There's a bit of Miss Doubtfire and like Mary Poppins. I don't know what I was trying to do there, but I did it. Looking back. All right, so those are our top 5s for this week. We encourage you, if you're out there, to give us a top 5 for next week. Write it on the comments. Message myself or Ghost if you know us personally on the old Facebook machine.
Yeah.
Hit us up on
Tweet it
Twitter.
at us.
Tweet it right at us.
Yeah.
And we'll get it. And we'll do it. Because we want to know what you think and what you want. We're going to give it to you.
Yeah, give it to you hard.
Yeah. Or medium. Maybe. Medium.
Medium rare.
Medium rare. I don't know where we're going with this. Anyways, yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. Welcome.
Welcome.
That's what you say. At the
Welcome
beginning.
to the end of the podcast.
Welcome to the end of the podcast. Welcome to the goodbye. It's a welcome to goodbye.
Whoa.
Well, it feels like some writer shit. to
Yeah,
say.
it's like a sad movie. Welcome
It's like
to
Charles
goodbye.
Bukowski. Welcome to goodbye. That's my Charles Bukowski voice. Look him up, you friggin' plebeians.
Hey,
What?
I resemble that remark.
Hey, we really appreciate your support out there. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on Instagram. Check us out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to plug before we go?
No, just keep your eyes and ears open.
Yeah.
For IGU podcast. I'm pretty sure we'll have another one coming out soon.
Yeah. No, we definitely should. Yeah. I was just thinking of like, oh, your eyes and ears are always basically open, right? Unless you're sleeping. But your ears you can't close your ears.
I don't know. My mom used to tell me I used to close my ears all the time because I never listened to her. So
I remember there's just a story this chick was telling. It was like this like murder story I was watching on something, and she's like, I could close my eyes, but I couldn't close my ears. And I remember thinking that was a very horrifying. Anyways, have a good weekend or week or whatever. Check us out next week. Check us out next week. Peace.
later.
The Snooty Ghost podcast brought to you by the International Gamers Union.
You've reached a checkpoint.